meeting for the month of February to order. Everybody get a chance to look over the minutes last month?
Make a motion.
All those in favor?
Is that a tuxedo?
Start the 239 referrals. Patrice Perry presenting.
Okay, so we have 8 referrals this month. There were a couple that were added after the original notice, in case you were wondering. So we'll begin at the beginning. It's 22-05-005.
And I think I'm with you now. I don't know what, there was
Oh, there
something
we
wrong
go.
with that.
Okay.
Yep.
We hear you,
Okay.
Terry. Okay, so the Town of Acorn Planning Board, the applicant is Iron Star. Location is 2540 State Route 82. It's to establish a retreat center. It's approval of a site plan, issuance of a special use permit within 500 feet of the state highway, Route 82. The existing zoning is AR and AH-R2. Existing land use is ag and residential. Surrounding ag and residential, the parcels are approximately 146.7 acres. You see there are 4 parcels. And there are existing and proposed structures. Total proposed structures are 28. You can see these are the soils. These are farmland soils of statewide importance. And the craft paper color are parcels in the ag district. You can see all 4 of these are located in ag district and the surrounding parcels. Trying to get a good site plan to see. They're very tricky to see.
Yeah, they seem blurry depending on my device.
Yeah. So we'll do the best we can with what we have. Okay, so a special use permit and site plan review is required for the proposed retreat center with an inn and lodging cottages for overnight accommodations, recreational support amenities, including glamping, camping structures, a restaurant, a farm operation with processing and storage. As I mentioned, there are 4 parcels. It's expected to be a 3-phase construction process ending sometime in 23. They're proposing adaptive reuse for the existing residence, and that's near the road. And that would be be converted to house the inn, which would have 5 guest rooms and the restaurant. That's right in this area. There would also be the proposed pool over here. These little pink structures are various studios, outbuildings, and the cottages. They are proposing 4 lodging cottages called. You can see this is one of them. And the recreational support structures include massage therapy, horseback riding, swimming pool, exercise facilities, art, and associated accessory uses. There will be 18 glamping structures, 14 of those will allow for overnight accommodations with bathrooms. There's also an organic farming operation, 2 structures, one of which would be used for processing and the other equipment storage. And the parking areas would be, they're scattered about. You see one here. Another in this area along 82. There's proposed 2 access points over from 82. And this is one road that goes to the parking lot, and this is another service road, access road. And then there'll also be these footpaths throughout the facility, if you will. They're also proposing on-lot well and septic systems of private individual subsurface sewage disposal. There are also an existing structure associated with the existing septic system with this existing structure near 82. We also have a stormwater management plan prepared that will include infiltration basins, bioswales, and rain gardens. There's a stream on site and federal wetlands, and they have provided grading and drainage plans and landscaping plans. Let's see. I don't know if this gives you an idea of the scope of the entire parcel project. It's very tiny, so it's difficult to see when it's not blown up. This is a section showing some of the little smaller structures. This is one of the cabins in the blue. In the purple is another cabin with a 1-bedroom suite. This is rustic. So there are things dotted all throughout this hillside. The amenities, the recreational amenities, and the accommodations. This is another section showing other cabins. And this is a composting toilet here, another rustic structure.
I like this.
We have about 8 inches of documents that we received for this application. And there was a list that's on the drive to give you an idea of what was included in all of them. This again is a close-up of the parking area along 82 with part of the stormwater system, stormwater management system. More outbuildings is the organic building and farm equipment building that I mentioned associated with the organic farming operation. Again, the swimming pool. Does anybody want to see anything like a particular drawing? Because I can just continue pointing out the various components. If there's something you want blown up, we can do that. This shows this is a little grouping of structures. Again, connected with the access road and the walking paths and connecting them also. You see the grading of the road.
I think we get the idea, the scope of it and everything.
Yeah.
Now, this whole thing is going to be taxable, right? I mean, this isn't going to be a religious retreat where it's not taxable, is it?
I don't know that it's not for profit or not. I don't know.
That's a lot of acreage, 146 acres. For a lot of buildings to be not taxable.
I don't know that it is not taxable, Larry. I don't know that it is. or is not. Um,
I found the number of parties in management and ownership interesting. There's like four or five different LLCs.
Yeah.
Hope they got that all worked out.
they, this plan has been evolving, and there is a more recent plan that was developed, which was not referred to us. It was not submitted to the town before this meeting. It's supposed to be, the date I was given was the 17th, but they still want us to proceed with the recommendation from the county planning board. And I don't know what the changes are, how significant, or if it's just tweaking. I really don't know. I don't have that information, but I do know there's a revised set of plans. The most recent set that we have were from November. And that's what we're looking at. The
Okay.
most recent set that came with the referral. So anyway, we didn't find countywide impact from this. Couple of comments. Noting is that the access off of 82 will require review and approval from DOT. The Columbia County Department of Health would need to be involved with respect to review and approval for the lodging, camping, and the restaurant, and also for the water and septic system. Noting that it's also located within Columbia County Agricultural District Number 1, and ag data statement is required. Also suggests that the emergency access fire chief review this. There are also wetlands on site, and noting if there's any disturbance proposed to the wetlands or the stream, that it would require permitting from either the Corps of Engineers or DEC for the stream. And also want to note that the soils of farmland of statewide importance comprise a significant portion of this parcel, and note the potential loss in agricultural land as a result of this development. So I guess that could potentially trigger a recommendation of countywide impact, but they are still including a farming component. So that's why my recommendation didn't include finding that there was countywide impact.
Mhm. Okay, any,
Those 8
Okay.
comments. The one comment isn't showing up on your referral summaries, but so that would be 8 comments.
okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Hey, what are you doing up there? I'm applying for a new job with the Monster Mobile app.
Oops.
I'll make a motion, we accept staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Second.
Steve seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion is carried.
Okay. The next is 22006, the town of Stuyvesant. This was a little bit long, but I thought it important to discuss because this is different than some of the solar laws that we have seen. Oops, sorry. I'm looking for a map. Sorry, I have a map showing the soils on. Just trying to pull that up. Okay. Before we begin, there are a lot of provisions in this proposed local law pertaining to soils and impact on ag soils. The agricultural soils in the town of Stuyvesant are significant and comprise a majority of the town. As you can see, the prime farmland, if drain, are this lighter green. The farmland of statewide importance is sort of pale mustard, and then the ochre color is prime farmland. So you can see much of the town is comprised of prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance. So it's adoption of the Stuyvesant Solar Energy Local Law of 2022, amending the zoning law. They proposed a number of definitions, which I've listed: agricultural purposes, battery energy storage system, building integrated solar energy systems, farmland of statewide importance, glare, ground mounted solar energy system, native perennial vegetation, pollinator, prime farmland, roof mounted solar energy system, solar access, solar energy equipment and solar energy system, solar panel and storage battery. There are a couple that I want to highlight. The first is the solar projects in excess of 25 megawatts of production that they would not be allowed under this law in interest of preserving productive ag lands. And those that would be either reviewed previously under Article 10 and now under the ORAS as an ORAS project. The other definition are solar energy system. They're proposing to create 3 different tiers. Tier 1 would include roof mounted and building integrated systems. Tier 2, ground mounted systems with a system capacity up to 25 kilowatts that generate no more than 110% of the electricity consumed on the site over the previous 12 months. And tier 3 would be those that are not tier 1 or tier 2. The applicability for this law would exclude general maintenance and repair, and also if it's constructed or installed prior to the effective date. Modifications to existing systems that would increase the area by 5% or more than the original area would be subject to the law, as well as all systems designed after its effective date. The general requirements, they require building permits, and also local land use boards are encouraged to condition approval of proposed developments on sites adjacent to solar energy systems to protect their access to sufficient sunlight and to remain economically feasible over time. Also in compliance with seeker, and all solar panels are to have anti-reflective coatings. The permitting requirements for the tier 1, they would be permitted in all districts, exempt from site plan review, require a building permit and a certificate of compliance, and would comply with the height limitations as prescribed in this law. For roof mounted, for pitched roofs, the mount would have a maximum distance of 8 inches between the roof and the highest edge of the system, and must be installed parallel to the roof surface. They should not extend higher than the highest point of the roof surface, and for flat roofs, they may not extend above the top of the surrounding parapet or more than 24 inches above the flat surface of the roof. For building integrated systems, they need to be shown on the plan submitted for a building permit. Permitting requirements for the tier 2, they're permitted in all zoning districts as accessory structures exempt from site plan review. The conditions, the setbacks, lot sizes, and height would be the same as accessory structures for the underlying zoning district. For ground mounted, they may only be situated in the side or rear yards in residential districts. And the views from adjacent properties need to be minimized, and they need to be located to avoid or minimize blockage of views from surrounding properties or the shading of property to the north, while still providing solar access. For tier 3, they require special use permit in the following districts: agriculture, Hamlet 1 and 2, Hamlet Extension, commercial light industrial districts, and they're subject to site plan review. They're considered type 1 actions There also, law would establish a review process, including code enforcement review, public hearing, noticing, submission requirements, performance bond. Also that the utility lines would be underground as permitted by the utility company, except for the main service connection at the utility right of way. Also that vehicular paths be designed to minimize the extent of impervious surfaces and soil compaction. There's also signage requirements, as well as lighting that only be the minimum required for safety and operations. With respect to tree cutting, would be subject to a written plan from the NRCS if they are larger than 6 inches in diameter. Also requires a decommissioning plan. Systems would be considered abandoned after not producing electricity for a 6-month period. The code enforcement officer would have to be notified within 60 days of cessation, and removal is at the owner's expense and would be part of the calculations for the security performance bond. The decommissioning plan, they must identify the costs and time required to decommission and remove all and repair damages from installation and removal. For the security, would be amount sufficient to ensure performance of the conditions of the permit, and also a removal and site restoration equal to 125% of the cost of removal and restoration of the property with an escalator of 2% annually for the life of the system. If it's in default, the security is forfeited and the town would then use that money to complete restoration and decommissioning. Establishes a site plan application process, site plan review required for the systems, and also those requiring a special use permit. It includes submission requirements and a property operation and maintenance plan, erosion and sediment control, stormwater management plan. It also requires a licensed engineer or registered architect signature and stamp. The standards for special use permit are established for lot size. They must comply with the sizes established in Appendix 1 for Tier 3, and setbacks for Tier 3 in Appendix 2, and for height would be the underlying zoning district. Fencing, a 7-foot high fence is required by NEC with a self-locking gate to prevent unauthorized access. There's also screening and visibility standards. For smaller systems, less than 10 acres, you need to minimize the views from adjacent properties, and it includes screening. It must be in harmony with the character of the property and the surrounding area. For systems larger than 10 acres, let's conduct a visual assessment on public roadways and adjacent properties, including line of sight profile, and they also require additional analysis. Must be a screening and landscaping plan from public roadways and adjacent properties. And again, it establishes submission requirements. Under agricultural resources, that would be projects located on ag lands. For Tier 3 on prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance, they're limited as follows. For parcels of 10 acres or less that contain less than 75% of the prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance, parcels between 10 and 20 acres that contain less than 50% of prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance, and then parcels over 20 acres that contain more than 35% of prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance would be required to preserve as a block for agricultural purposes, a block of prime soils. The size and shape allows for effective and efficient farming and encompasses 75% of the soils, of the ag soils. And that block would be required to have access for ag purposes. For Tier 3, systems located on prime farmland constructed in accordance with the construction requirements of ag and markets. For tier 3, owners shall develop and implement, maintain native vegetation and have a management plan to provide permanent perennial living cover. If there are ownership changes, everything remains in effect for the special use permit and site plan review, as well as the decommissioning. For safety, all systems must be certified or under applicable electrical or building codes and maintained in good working order. And also prohibits storage batteries and battery and energy storage systems. The timeframes, the special use permit and site plan review is valid for 18 months, provided a building permit has been issued, work construction has commenced, and that may be extended for up to 180 days, but it would expire in 24 months. Upon cessation of electricity generation, continually for 6 months, the town notify the operator to implement decommissioning, must be completed within 365 days. Failure to comply, the town may use the bond for removal and restoration. For enforcement, violations subject to the same enforcement requirements as established in their zoning and land use regulations. And it also includes, as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 appendices dealing with lot size requirements, setbacks, and height requirements. There's also an appendix 4 has an example of a decommissioning plan. So we didn't find there's any countywide impact from this, and we have no comments.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board? It's good to see that they've taken the steps towards preserving the farmland, protecting it.
Yeah.
Being very aggressive that way, I can say.
Louisiana City synonymous.
If not, no questions, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Patrick so moves.
I'll second it.
Gary seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is carried.
Gee, ain't I a blank? One down, please.
Okay. So the next is 22. (22.007) be the Town of Greenport Planning Board, the applicant Hudson River Air Dogs Incorporated. This is a aerial of the site, existing conditions. Location 4137 US Route 9. Proposed action is to establish a canine athletic membership club. Approval of a site plan within 500 feet of Route 9, US 9. There's no zoning in Greenport. The existing land use is residential and surrounded by ag. You can see it is in the ag district, and there are abutting parcels also in the ag district. The parcel is approximately 4 acres, and there are proposed and existing structures. Showing the farmland soils, prime farmland in the dark or brown areas. And then the flood hazard. This shows the critical environmental area for the town of Greenport, the wellhead protection. You see the parcel is wholly within that area. Wetlands, check zone. Okay, so site plan review is required to establish the Canine Athletic Membership Club, not for profit, for dog dock jumping. It's the proposed installation of a sand and gravel pool paddock, above ground pool with a 20 by 40 feet for jumping. There's an existing access drive off of 9. Which will require improvements by DOT based on DOT standards. There will be solar panels for the pool pump to meet the site electricity needs. There'll also be a mobile dock storage shed, 10 by 20, gravel parking area for 50 spaces, and a grassy overflow parking area. There will be fenced here. The water supply will be delivered for site events, and eventually there will be a well. There's a portable toilet on site and pet waste station. Dumpster. Ag data statement was included. It's located within Columbia County Ag District number 7. We didn't find any countywide impact from this, just a couple of comments noting that the parcel is within Ag District and Ag data statement was submitted. Note that the parcel is within the critical environmental area, that they want to revise the EAF because the answer to number 7 was checked as no. And maybe I don't have the most recent EAF. Also noting that the DOT is requiring improvements to the access, and that the fire chief review the site, suggests the fire chief review the site for emergency access.
Okay.
Now, just to give you a little rundown on this, I think it's the same outfit. They were in Livingston a few years ago. They left Livingston. They wanted to come into Claremont. We turned them down because there was a housing development right next to where they wanted to put it. And the people came to the meeting and they said, we do not want this here because of the noise from the dogs.
Okay.
So we turned them down, and then they went from, I don't know where they went from there. They're probably coming up to Greenport now. But there's a lot of noise with these dogs. That's what people were concerned about.
Yeah.
If there's any housing near there. And sometimes they stay overnight, and the dogs are gonna, of course, the dogs are gonna bark during the night too. So I don't know what the story is, but
Stay
what I-
overnight, like you mean camping, stay overnight?
I think they stay overnight with the dogs, yeah, because sometimes they have 2-day events, and they like camp out with the dogs there. Now that was one of the issues that people didn't like.
Their original proposal showed a camping area, but that was taken off of this final proposal. They've indicated there'll be no overnight camping.
All right. Is there any houses near this or not?
No.
One house near the entrance off of Route 9.
Okay.
Yep. So,
And then right next door is a veterinary clinic, so.
Good place.
how appropriate. I must say they have a pretty good website. I saw this and I had to look it up, and this is a popular thing in some circles there. I know they have, I don't know if they compete up north at the Adirondacks. They have the national, I think what is Steel Chainsaws sponsors it, the outdoor games or whatever.
Is this on Route 9 down by
Yes.
Lambert's old farm?
Exactly. It's right next to the veterinary clinic.
South, right?
Yep.
Towards Buckley's Corner. Yeah, okay. I
Yep.
know where you're talking about
Yep,
now. Yeah.
before you get there.
The old
It's
Lambert.
actually the Rockefeller farm now.
Well, it was Lambert before.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Mallory so moves.
Second.
Patrick seconds it. All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ed, you're abstaining?
I am staying.
Okay.
And so we're still in the town of Greenport. 22008, Town of Greenport Planning Board. Shanachie Development Incorporated, John Lee. This is the parcel. This is Route 66. It is 167 Union Turnpike. Proposed action is Happy Clown. It's approval of a site plan within 500 feet of a state road. There's no zoning in Greenport. Vacant commercial surroundings, commercial, industrial, residential, daycare, and Questar. Parcel is approximately 4.31 acres. The structure is approximately 6,500 square feet. Okay, so site plan review is required for renovation to an existing structure in order to establish two commercial uses. One is proposed to be an ice cream shop, and the second is to be determined. It was previously the site of Merle Oil, was office, and years before that, I think it was a service station, maybe. The scope included demolition of another structure and then renovation to the existing structure. There's access proposed off of 66, 2 points here and here, with curbing and a sidewalk across the front, along the frontage. There'll be parking in the rear and on the sides here. Approximately 22 spaces with 88 accessible spaces also. There's a fenced area in the front that would be gravel, that would have picnic tables and another crushed stone area here. These are split rail fencing in this area, and then also back here and in this area here. There's also signposts that are shown here. Here is a utility shed and enclosed dumpster in the rear. In this area here, shed, and it's with area for the dumpsters. A proposed connection to municipal water and sewer. And there's a requirement for a grease trap from the town. The Greenport Fire Chief has reviewed. There's also a letter from DOT that there's conceptual approval for the driveway and the permit is in process. There's, as I mentioned, was a former site of a gas station. So there was an investigation of soil conducted for petroleum compounds and spill and underground storage tanks. And the results were submitted to DEC for request for closed spill. This was conducted after a phase of environmental site assessment had been done in the past. We find any countywide impact from this. A couple of comments. Food service component would require Department of Health review. The interior just suggests that if there's seating on the interior or any restrooms, that be noted on the site plan. Access, noting that DOT conditional approval has been granted and the process is underway. And I was a curious thing with the dumpster that it's this configuration and separated with a fence. And just noting that might cause an impact for the trucks accessing to empty the dumpsters. Having this configuration with this fence, they would have to come in one side to empty this and then come in the other side to empty this side if they're both going to be dumpsters on either side. And also knowing that there's fence here that might impede circulation and emergency access to the rear, because they're, especially for deliveries, if coming in, I'm not sure why this is here. I'm trying to make sense of that, and I don't know why. So,
And an all-wheel drive Hyundai SUV. It's
this
your
is the elevation of the building.
2022 Tucson for $199 a month. Or $10 up, $39 a month. Per year. Don't get stuck with internet.
Other view.
Or does less. Set yourself free with Spectrum and get it all from one
This is
provider.
the one they just finished right across from the falls, right?
Correct.
Speeds of 200 megabits. Whoa, that's fast. Plus, get a free modem and free desktop security. HQ Safe Online. Get Spectrum Internet for $49.99 a month. Call 833-605-4999. And don't get stuck with the same old TV.
Okay.
Spectrum TV with a free Spectrum TV app lets you watch.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Stream live TV, sports, news, and more on any device. Plus, access up to $85,000.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion, local decision.
Barry so moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Don't get stuck.
Steve seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
$49.99 a month each.
Ed's abstaining.
I am abstaining.
It's Ed's problem now.
I guess we should state for the record that Ed's abstaining because he's the chairman of the Greenport Planning Board.
Okay, so the next is 22009V, the Town of Ghent Zoning Board of Appeals. The applicant is McHayden Theater Incorporated. This is the existing theater access off of 203 Little Loop Road. The location is 1925 New York State Route 203. Is to construct a tech workshop building. It's a granting of a variance. It's within 500 feet of a state highway. The existing zoning is RRA 1 HR. Existing land use is the theater, commercial. Surrounding is residential. There's a mobile home park on 3 sides of this.
I only see it on 2.
I'm trying to get to that other drawing. Here, goes all the way around. Edgewood Acres.
No.
So entrance here, the road comes all the way around.
How big a building they putting up?
It is, 20 by. It is. It's 38 by 60 and 18
Yeah.
feet high.
Building, yeah. Okay.
It will be a pole barn type building. This is what it will look like. Go back to this for a second. Okay. Okay, so a variance is requested to allow for the proposed expansion of an existing non-conforming use. It's proposed construction of a new structure to house a technical workshop for set building for the live stage performances. It be located right, his is the existing structure, will be located right here. The new facility will allow the theater to elevate the quality of the scenic elements of show production. It will include a workshop area and storage of tools and materials. This is the interior uses. They currently use indoor and outdoor areas for construction, and operations are impacted by the weather. the proposed removal of an existing wooden deck. This is the access drive off of 203. This is the existing structure. So this is where the proposed would be located. And then drawn in here, another view. It would be on the side here, and this structure would be removed in order to facilitate and accommodate the new structure. The setback between the existing proposed structure, 20 feet. There would be no proposed changes to the access drive off of 203. So a little background on this. In 1977, McCaden received a use variance from the ZBA to operate as a theater. And the code provides for different types of variances that the ZBA has authority to grant. And for this particular application, it's any variance granted by the ZBA pursuant to the provisions of this section shall be construed to be a non-conforming use. And so the applicant is seeking to expand the theater non-conforming use and requires the approval from the ZBA. And the ZBA is authorized to issue specific types of variances pursuant to section 19058 with respect to non-conforming uses. They're able to consider granting a permit for the enlargement or extension of a non-conforming use or building on the lot or land occupied by such use or building, provided that such enlargement shall not exceed 50% of the existing capacity. We didn't find that there's any countywide impact from this. Couple of comments, the setback, suggesting that that be identified on the site plan, noting that the EAF reads that there's a 20-foot setback, but I couldn't find it on the drawings. Also suggesting the local fire chief review, and for the, also noting that site plan review is required by the Ghent Planning Board, and suggest if there are any loading areas proposed that they should be identified on the site plan if there are any deliveries of supplies or equipment to this structure, so that they be identified on the site plan.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
So these the color scheme.
Kind of- Do we get to choose? Are we supposed to?
I don't know that you do, Tim, but these were submitted. Apparently they're looking at the blue and slate, I guess. But
We could really throw a wrench into things, couldn't we, Mallory? Just
Yes, we could.
they override us on the color choice.
We recommend this color.
Terry, that was close enough to a motion, I think, at that point.
I think that was a motion.
Is there a second to Terry's choice of colors?
I'll second it.
Ed seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion's carried.
okay, 22010V, the Town of New Lebanon Town Board. It's a adoption proposed local law number 1 of 22 to amend the zoning law use table of chapter 205 of the code of the Town of New Lebanon. The purpose is to amend the use table. Specifically in the key, it adds a note to refer to section 205-14, your site plan review requirements for permitted and special use permit uses. Second, it adds a note to town board special permit, referring it to chapter 189 telecommunication facilities, and removes the note TSPR equal town board site plan review from the table. And then on the table, it adds telecommunication facility with the adding TSP, TSPR, and removing the TSPR portion of that. We didn't find any countywide impact from this. You have no comments.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? No? Entertain a motion.
And should try to solve the puzzle.
I make the motion.
Patrick so moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Larry seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, Village of Chatham, 22011B, Village of Chatham Planning Board. Applicant is Jody Sauka. The location 19 Railroad Avenue. Um, where it was. The proposed action is to establish a retail shop. It's approval of a site plan within 500 feet of State Highway. The existing zoning is C1 with historic overzone. Existing land use is commercial, surrounding commercial and residential. The parcel is approximately 0.25 acres. There are 3 structures on the site. The site plan review is required for a change in use to an existing structure to establish commercial retail use in C1. The proposed retail shop would be in this structure. Here's another drawing, just another photograph, just to get to that. Here we go. This is what was submitted from the town. Would be no, the site plan review is required for a change in use to an existing structure to establish a commercial retail use in the C1. It would be Crow Cottage. There'd be no exterior changes proposed. They are not installing freestanding signage. The parcel actually fronts on 2 streets, on Thomas, which is to the rear, if you will, and Railroad Avenue here. The structure with frontage on Railroad Avenue would be the retail shop, and this structure in the rear of the white building, the white roof, is the telephone company. Parking, the shop employees will be parking in the driveway along the side of the building and in the front, and the customers would be on-street parking on Railroad. The telephone company employees would be parking in the spaces around into the rear. There's existing municipal water and sewer. And the section below just highlights the section in the code. In historic overzone, all construction, exterior alterations, demolitions, or relocation of structures, including 1 and 2 family dwellings, shall require a site plan review for a limited purpose of determining compliance with the overzone. And the planning board shall also review site plans for changes of use involving existing structures. For off-street parking, retail uses would be 3 to 5 spaces, but the planning board is granted the authority to modify standards and review criteria as it relates to parking specifically. So, you can find any countywide impact from this? I mean, I have no comments.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments from the board? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Terry so moves. I'll second it.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion's carried.
And now,
Okay. Last one. 22012B, the Town of Ankrum Planning Board. The applicant is Beaver Mountain Farms Auction, Don Duxa.
Duxa.
Duxa? Duxa.
Yeah.
Okay, Don Duxa.
The old auction king.
Okay, the applicant Beaver Mountain Farms, location is 103 County Route 7A. It's an auction use. It's renewal of special use permit within 500 feet of a state road, existing county road, excuse me. The existing zoning is ag, existing land use is ag, surrounding ag and residential. The parcel is 41.2 acres. The special use permit is required for the auction use. It's renewal of a special use permit for 3 years. The auction use was previously held on an adjacent parcel and the location was moved. It's for Beaver Mountain Farms auction. They hold an annual auction. In 2019 was the 29th annual auction. Here's their flyer. The auction items are brought in from another location to sell, and they include tractors, farm equipment, construction equipment, lawn and garden, recreational items, trucks, trailers. Typically attract more than 500 people, and it does result in increase on traffic on the road to access the site during events. And there are no proposed water or septic system, and an ag data statement was submitted. We saw this in 2019, and we had quite a few comments, and my suggestion is that we just restate those comments pertaining to access, that they would to contact the highway department, propose to access off of 27A, traffic, noting that they provide information on the plans to manage vehicular access and provide traffic safety measures, parking, so that the applicant will identify the location would be parking on the site and with truck and loading areas, emergency access, local fire chief review, signage, any applicant providing information on any proposed temporary or permanent signage, lighting, any lighting proposed, the exterior, solid waste, removal and storage, and water and septic. That there will not be connection to any existing water and sewer. Suggest that the applicant provide information on any temporary watering stations or arrangements for portable toilets.
Okay.
How big is this building gonna be? He's got one big one there now.
I don't think there's any construction as far as I know.
Oh, I thought he was putting up a building, another building.
Well, if it is, it's not part of what they sent to me.
Okay, okay.
I don't,
They resent the applications that they sent us in 2019. So,
'Cause he said auctions on this site about 3 years already.
right.
Yeah.
The last time we had this referral was 2019. He has to renew the special use permit.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Just
I don't think
wanted
I don't think you would complicate it, Larry, with a new building. I would, if I would keep it separate anyway.
Yeah, because he's got that big, huge building in the back where he had the auction this year.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, if you don't want to add all those comments, that's fine. That we've
No,
already
no,
submitted them at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
No, I'll make the motion with the comments, and
I'll second it.
Larry seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Okay.
Very good job, Patrice. I
Thank
know the other one, the retreat, you probably could use a retreat after even the 8 inches of documents there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, there was also, there are a couple projects coming down that we received a notice of intent to act as lead agency, one from the town of Greenport and one from the town of Kinderhook. I included those files in the drive. Care to peruse them? We'll eventually be referrals. So that's what these were.
Another glamping project. Huh?
Yeah.
I stopped sharing, right? You can see me again, right? Okay.
Yep. Let's see.
That's all for me.
Yep. Okay. Does anybody else have anything to bring? I have nothing to bring before the illustrious board at this time. If nobody else does, we're still
Any
looking
training coming up?
Funny you should mention, we're back and forth today with Greene County with Department of State to find out if they're going to be doing virtual or in-person training, and I don't have the answer to that. Hopefully I will have more information for next month. So we're working on a spring session, but whether it will be live or remote, I'm not sure yet.
Okay. You will let us know, right?
I will, of course I
Oh, yeah.
will.
Okay.
Larry, we wouldn't have it without you.
I hope not. I need the points.
You'll be the
Yeah,
first.
you
to
need
know,
points.
Harry.
I think you're selling them on the open market.
Yeah, I wish I could.
So we're still short a member from the city of Hudson, and everybody else was reappointed, re-upped. And you got my oath of office, right?
Yep.
I had to give Sue Haig, our town clerk, a $21 bill signed by me to get that. Patrick, you had no problem with your oath, did you? Patrick, you all set with your oath of office?
I don't. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it.
So Patrice, we need Patrick's then, right?
Yeah.
You would still, yeah.
All right.
$21 bill usually gets it done.
Well, I got lots of resources.
Patrice, you sent them the oath of office, right? So you can just take it in and get it.
Maybe I did.
Oh, that's why you're looking so quiet and like.
I will check.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I thought I had, but maybe I will check. I'm not sure.
That's,
don't-
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look back too.
All right,
that's all
well,
right. That's all right.
I'll email you with it and we'll go from there. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else got anything to bring before this illustrious board? If not, we'll stand adjourned. We'll thank Oswaldo as usual for the fine job of getting us out into the general public. We assume anyway. Do we have any groupies yet or anything like that, Oswaldo? People who, want to make sure they see us every month, do you think? Oh, okay. Well, we're up against the Olympics too. That sort of must be this month.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Oswaldo and Patrice. Thank you for your fine job this month. And
Thank you.
everybody have a good month, and we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good night, everyone. Please, good job.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
night.
Good night.
Good job.
Thanks.